Hello, everybody. Once again, this is Greg West for Road to Freedom No More Chains podcast and YouTube channel. Tonight, we're interviewing our special guest, Lavar Watson from Dallas, Texas. But before we get into it, let's do our little usual housekeeping things. Here at Road to Freedom No More Chains podcast and YouTube channel, we are dedicated for empowering, people let you know that there are restored and returned citizens or people who might have had adversities in their life who've come home or and changed their lives so that they're now productive members in society. This is a podcast and YouTube channel that's sponsored by uh, Felons with a Future. Felons with a Future is our 12-week nonprofit organization reentry program that helps people come home and become business owners. We also work on their thinking at the same time to help them know that there's a better way of thinking than just that criminal background and everything that has gotten them. We work on the trauma that led them to the streets from the beginning, the trauma that they went through while they were in the streets, the trauma that they endured while they were incarcerated, and also the trauma of coming home and trying to find their way in society. We all, it's like I say, it's a 12-week class dedicated to that. And at the end of the 12-week class, all that finish the class, we help pay for their business license, and we still mentor them over 2 years to match them up with a business mentor, a life coach mentor, and a financial mentor that shows them how to prepare their business plan. I mean, not just their business plan, but their marketing plan, and try to help them to become the successful business people that we know they can be. As I said before, tonight our guest is Lavar Watson from Dallas, Texas. He's the owner of Spiritual Trucking LLC. His story is like a lot of ours, got involved in the streets, had a little adversity, went through some things in life, and now he's a business owner, family man, and everything. So, LeVar, go ahead and tell us a little something about yourself so we can get into this interview.
Hey, peace, brother. I appreciate you having me on your platform. It's an honor. But yes, brother, the life, of my journey, it's been an interesting journey. Within my bio, the things that I talked about, is me coming up and just trying to figure out me, been around good influences and bad influences. And of course, we always, overlook the good influences. It's easy to kind of shine the light on the bad influences, but the bad influences, it's kind of a polarity deal, because you when you go through the bad, you appreciate the good, or when you have the good, sometimes you really don't understand the bad. So both of those work together for help us understand who we really are, and to really, fast forward to when I was a kid, just going to the neighborhood, just trying to figure life out, trying to get a self and my identity of who I really was. It was a struggle. I struggled through school because my mother, she struggled through school. She didn't really have a whole lot of confidence. She didn't really know herself. She didn't really understand the importance, teach me certain things in school. So I had to navigate and figure out things myself. Um, as now, the reason I became a business owner, because it's something I always wanted to do for years. And I was always trying to find my way out, especially after I graduated and went to school to be a mechanic. I always said, okay, maybe I can get a mechanic shop. That went another direction after I got my CDL. Once I got my CDL, I still ended up getting in some more trouble. Um, and I pretty much kind of stick to the CDL part and just start to drive trucks. Uh, and then when I got to drive trucks, I said, okay, maybe I can have my own trucking business. Throughout that journey, the courage. I didn't have the courage to jump out there early. Just working for the corporation, working for companies, starting off as Dr. Pepper. I was up there for 5 years, and I was up there for about 4.5 years of me being on probation. Whenever I did catch the felony. And once I left there, I went to a company called Benny Keith, and they're known as Budweiser in Dallas, Texas. And I finished my probation, throughout that company. But I was glad I went to that company because just a lot that I had to appreciate, because without that company and the finance and the resources, I wouldn't be in the position I am now. I wouldn't have the financial well-being, to start my business. I wouldn't have the financial well-being, to buy my house and have that job stability. I wouldn't have the money put back, for rainy days. So that helped me. And of course, I have to give gratitude myself and the determination and hard work, and my wife being by my side and helping me through those trials and tribulations, those struggles. Well, we've seen struggles, but it was a blessing because I learned a lot throughout that. Um, when I decided to leave, I was going through some things with the company that I disagreed with. And at the same time, I was doing a whole lot of research about a few years before that of my culture. And I got a more of a sense of my culture, of who I am, where my ancestors come from. And this really kind of brought things back to self, and to where I knew I needed to get out and do things on my own. Because it's as being in social media and things of that nature, I start to really speak my piece. I started to post things that was more so uh, reflecting to my culture. And when it comes to corporate America, they don't like that,
Right.
and word gets around and people start looking at me outside my head, and people, especially when it comes to the management, uh, I knew that they changed their views on me, and it held me back from growing
So
in the company as well.
I hear you talking, and I mean, we're gonna get back to some more of that because see, there's some good stuff that you were talking about, like like one of the things I want to touch on where I hear you talking about, when you come about yourself and you get the self realization that, you're better off working for yourself than somebody else, because see, like, as you know, what we do in our program is we train people to become business owners because, a lot of times felons, we don't realize, ex-offenders and returning citizens, we don't realize that we already have an independent personality. That's why we, choose to, some of us, choose to do the things we do, and we have problems in the workforce when we're trying to work for someone because we're an independent person. So let's touch on some of the process that you had to go through of choose, like you were talking about choosing to go out there independent. But let's talk about some of the processes of what you had to endure when you finally made the decision to walk away from working for somebody, and that security that you had of knowing that you were going to get a check every week, compared to I had to get out here and hustle my job skill, what I mean, so that I can make sure I get a check. Cause like, being an independent contractor and a business owner of your own, if you're not out there selling your product and selling yourself, you're not going to earn work. And that's a big fear of, what I'm saying, having to be out there and wondering how I'm going to pay my bills, stepping out. Cause that's a lot of things that keeps a lot of people from becoming business owners who are working for corporate America or working for a business. They had that security of that paycheck, and then to step out into new territory of not knowing if I'm going to have that security. So if you can touch on some of that the mindset that you had to go through to mentally prepare yourself spiritually, or however you had to do to get you to the place to move from that security of that paycheck to what I'm saying, this faith and stepping out there on your own.
Well, that's it's gonna be a big answer when it comes to that. 'Cause
Yeah, that's
as
cool. We
you was
got we got enough
talking,
time.
as we was talking, as you was talking, I was just going through back to memory lane. Um, you know, one thing, I have to, give gratitude, to my wife, because she could have been the one that said, "Baby, I'm scared. I don't think you should do that, baby. You shouldn't do that because X, Y, Z." But she gave me all the support. Said, "Babe, I'm with you. And if you want to do this, let's do it." Was no hesitation, was no doubting, and was a lot of support. First of all, um, second of all, when I got to learning about my culture, I started learning about more of our ancestors and how they moved and how they navigated through this world, how they so many of our ancestors was business owners. Some of our ancestors was free thinkers. So many of our ancestors, fought through adversity, and they had to have the courage, to do the things that they wanted to do. I had to put in certain places, like it gave me more security. I had a little money to put back. That's my first security. Secondly, if I been having CDL, I knew that I can get a job. Anywhere else. And thirdly, it was like, I kind of felt like, what do I have to lose? I don't want to get to a point where I'm an old man saying I woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Right.
You know, and I really had to, had to believe in myself, because at the time, currently, I was working two jobs. I was working at Budweiser throughout the week, and I was a chauffeur on the weekend. And I was like, if I get this job, all this time, I was work every day. If I was sick, I had to be like, couldn't get out of bed, not go to work. That's how determined I was. And I said, if I can get this job and these two jobs, all of this of me consistently, it won't be no problem to do that for myself. So that alone let me know that I had to drive to do it. Um, and after I, talked to a few people and kind of did just enough research just to give me the reassuredness that I'm going to make it work, no matter what.
Okay. Because see, like that's one of the biggest things. A lot of people think that if I step out here and what if I fail and everything like that, what and that's security. And I appreciate you talking about that, because see, a lot of when I talk with a lot of the gentlemen and women that I've been interviewing, getting ready for our classes, which are going to start on January 25th. Um, that's one of the biggest fears of what if this doesn't work. And I keep I keep trying to explain to them that sometimes you won't know unless you try it. So hearing your stories like yours, people who stepped out on faith and everything like that, and everything, and have become a business owner, and still been able to still pay your bills, take care of your family, and all of that stuff. You know, from our personal talking and everything, one thing I've come to know about you in the short time that we've known each other, is the importance of family and a support system that you've put around you. And that's one of the things that we try to let the guys, the men and women that we work with in our program about, that you're going to have to to change your environment. It's going to be one of those things that you have to do also. So let's talk about that transformation that you made, from the streets into the business world, and changing your support network and everything. Because see, whether we realize it or not, we have a support system when we're out in the streets. You know what I'm saying? None of us just stepped out on the block and knew how to sell weed or whatever. Whatever we were doing, somebody had to show us. So keeping it in terms where they can understand it is one of the things that we do here at Felons with a Future. Is so if you could touch on some of those transformation, the pitfalls that you went through, and also the positive aspects of what you had to do, or the positive mindset that you had to change, of making that transformation from out of the streets into the business world for yourself and everything like that, or even just going to work for somebody else, until you became a business owner.
Well, like I said, it brought me back. I remember coming up in the hood, and we say the hood, and I had these so-called friends, in my circle, and it was good, for them when they benefited, but there was so many things, you say our peers, that influenced that I knew was taking me right down the wrong road. I remember I was going through some things, when I got in trouble, and got probation, and my stepfather had passed back in 2002. That was definitely a huge turning point, for me, because I was starting to kind of just not even care at that moment before he got sick. And my mom found out I was selling drugs, and she really like, telling me like, I ain't allowing this. I'm like, okay, bye, I'm gone, you know. Um, and it's crazy. Shortly after I left, I wasn't even gone really about a week or two, getting hotel rooms and just staying, on the streets. And my stepdad had got sick, and he went to the hospital. Um, and when he went to the hospital, shortly after that, he passed. Like 2 days after that. And when he passed, it was a shocker. a big shocker. But one thing about it, it just brought more of the responsibility demand out of me. And I remember my uncle was saying, hey, he did everything he can. He worked every day. Now your mom, she needs a little help. She needs somebody to be there with her. She needs somebody to support her. And I did not hesitate, to do what I need to do and step up and be the man I need to be, not only for her, but for myself. So I continued to, after that, financially support her, and morally support her as much as I could. Um, but one thing that really helped me is 2 years after that, if I can remember, 2 or 3 years after that, I moved maybe like 30 miles outside of the neighborhood I grew up in. It was, it was an area where I knew it was no bus line, and if somebody wanted to come see me, they had to travel to see me, and they really wanted to see me. So at that point, right there, got my first apartment. And first of all, probably something I got my first apartment, I had two vehicles. I sold one vehicle, and the money I got, I gave to my mom so she can be able to survive. With the little money. And after that, I still helped her out. But when I got my own apartment and really it sunk in, and I can really start focusing on me. And at that moment, it was like, I need to focus on me. I need to start self-developing, getting myself together mentally, physically, emotionally, and educationally. I remember I read my first book. That was a huge accomplishment for me.
Right.
And just getting away from those, and influences, I felt accomplished. I felt a time where I can really hear my own thoughts. I can really move in a way that I want to move for me. And just the energy alone, and just me wanting change. I was determined for growth. So I was determined, to better myself. Enemies necessary at that moment. And I was, it was 2004. I even had, like, I think a year after that, I had long hair, I had braids and all that. When I cut it, I just wanted to get rid of the old me, the old lifestyle, and I just wanted to start moving in a better direction, as you say, manhood. So yeah, that right there, I can just say that.
Okay. Like some of the common myths that once we're hit with a felony or been, incarcerated and then coming home, some of the common myths that we hear is that you'll never be able to get a good job. You'll never be able to, these are some of the self-defeating things that are perpetuated in the community and of, people like us who might have had run-ins with the law and, cases and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that the self-defeating thoughts that keep us out there in that cycle is like, oh well, I'm a felon, I might as well keep on doing it because I'll never be able to get a job that's going to take care of my family, anything like that. So speaking of some of those common myths, what are some of the common myths that that you heard and then caused the fear in you, the saying that you won't be able to do it, and how did you overcome those fears and that mindset?
Well, for me, I don't think it was necessary fears. Um, but one thing that we're getting a felony. I guess it was the kind of like, especially if I was going to be hopping, the fear of having to go to a job and get turned down when I got to a point where I really needed it was a fear. Me, I was determined to, like, prove myself. So when I caught my felony, I knew I needed stability. That stability was going to be my counter to convince any other job that I was worthy versus sending me job. And I knew that. So I wanted to have a job. Like I said, when I was at Dr. Pepper, I was at Dr. Pepper for 5 years. And when I left Dr. Pepper, I went to Budweiser for 11 years. And I knew that I needed to have some type of stability. But within that stability of getting that and the stuff and the traumas and the pain I had to go through to stay on that job, it was painful. It was a lot of racism.
Right.
It was a lot of things. People talking crazy to you, and you want to go off, but I'm constantly getting reminded of, like, who I am. I'm constantly reminded that I just can't leave this job and get another job just that easy. Um, and the pain of just having to keep taking it, that was challenging right there. It was plenty times where I mean I wanted to go off, but I knew I didn't want to be in a situation where if I leave, if I get fired on this job or anything happen, um, I won't have the finances to be able to survive and be able to take care of my mother and help her out as well. That right there was, I guess, if you say the fear, that was a fear, but it is like, because even when I was at one job, I interviewed to get promoted. I want to say, oh my God, probably over 50 times. I'm pretty sure they did look at my background, and that was probably one thing. And then the thing that I was uneducated about is how to interview.
Mm.
I think a lot of felons they don't know how to interview, and that's a part of where keeping it real goes wrong. A lot of our brothers feel like I can just go in the interview and keep it real, and then she hired me. And I heard plenty of times, man, that white people want to hire me, man, because I kept it real, but they didn't hire me because but it's a game, and learn how to play the game is what I wasn't really good at.
Right.
And by me not even getting certain promotions, for so long, that put me in a box, in a fear, of like, damn, you know what I mean? If I can't even get promoted, how can I go to another job? Here I just gotta fill out an application, put on that I am a convicted felon, and then have to go to the interviewing process and not knowing how to answer it. It actually put me in a box where I was like, man, do I really want to go through that? And I didn't.
So what we're
And that
saying, what and I'm hearing you because it's important that we give the viewers, because like I say, our target audience are people who have been convicted of felons, but not only just them, but other people who might be in adverse, lifestyles, like coming from poverty, who still have that same mindset that I can never overcome where I'm at. I might as well stay here. I might as well stay in the lifestyle, stay in the game and everything like that. Or I might as well get into the game because it seems bleak for me. Looking out my front room and front window in my house or my apartment, wherever I'm at, and all I see is just bleakness. So what were some of the things that you had to do to overcome that negative mindset? Because I know for me, like it made a big difference for me to tap into you know some positive, like when you were just talking about reading your first book and how the accomplishment was. And I had to learn how to, start changing my mindset. So I had to start reading, picking up books that I didn't never think it would make any sense, and or reading articles. I did a lot of self help articles, read those, and just reading biographies and autobiographies of successful people. So, what were some of the things that helped you to get over that negative mindset about now that I have this felony and where I'm from, I'll never be able to advance and to get you to the place where you started believing in yourself.
Well, it's going back where I was talking about the book, and it's not a coincidence. I never said it's going. Everything happens on purpose. The first book I actually read, I don't know if you know, an author name is Michael Baisden, and my first book it was called what was that book? It was about he was kind of like a gigolo. I forget the name of the book. Excuse me, brother, but that brother Michael Basin, he even had a TV show. I mean, not a TV show, but a radio show that came on. I forget what channel, but when I read his book back in I think like 2005, 2006, it was powerful. And after I read his book, it was a novel. I started reading other novels, and I got pretty infatuated with reading. That was one thing. It just kind of changed my perspective. And it's true when they say reading is fundamental, very fundamental. And not only that, I started listening to things that was more positive. Of course, I started going to back then. I started going to church more. And then when I was listening to his brother's show, he was powerful because a lot of things he said was truth. It was like he was talking about Pimps in the Pulpit. You know what I mean? He was talking about, a lot of things we deal with as black men. And this a lot of things he was talking about made a lot of sense. And by me not even have those influences around me and me just constantly looking at self-work, self-help books and things that was feeding and raising my confidence up and giving me of a sense of really knowing myself and understanding myself, understanding the things I go through, understanding, my struggles just with those books. Um, and just having, and I guess what I was going through, I was allowing, bringing in positive energies because of what I wanted and what I desired. And I was asking the universe to give me. And the universe started bringing me a positive brothers, you know what I mean? Positive sisters. And I'm going to tell you one thing is crazy that really warped my mind and changed it tremendously. Um, Let me see. I got my first motorcycle back in like 2000. My son was born in 2009, so I got it in 2008. And after he was born, I got my motorcycle, and then I met this dude at a Hooters, and I got introduced to the motorcycle world. And by me getting introduced to the motorcycle world, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's very positive. So when I got around that industry, I actually started meeting positive brothers that had their own businesses.
Right.
They had great things going for them with no drugs. I mean, you meet those nuggetheads, but it was most people had their own businesses, who worked at great jobs, who were family men, who had wives, who had kids. I didn't see all of that coming up, you know?
Right.
And when I got exposed to that, it was an eye opener for me tremendously. And that right there, I think, really like speeded things up a lot. And I'm seeing certain brothers, I'm like, I want to be like that. I can do that.
It goes back to like that old saying that if you show me who your friends are, I know who you are. Or if you hanging around with five broke people, chances are you're gonna be the sixth broke person. So it's just like going, moving into the realm of success. And this is one of the things I talk to the people that I work with. Because not just with Felons for the Future. As far as like I mentor, a couple people that I've met through my journey as being an apprenticeship instructor, as far as for my union. And like I try to talk to them about that, like careful who you're hanging with, because that energy is going, they'll rob you from your energy or you'll pick up their energy. And if you're trying to, move into a new direction, you can't be, what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean that you turn your back on your hood, because see, that's the biggest thing that a lot of us think that, okay, I'm gonna move forward. But no, if I'm trying to move forward, I can't ask somebody who owns a Pinto how to get a Benz. I need to be around Benz people. If I'm trying to become a business owner, I can't keep on hanging. Well, I can keep hanging with them if I choose to, but I need to get my information on how to move forward, from the business owner, not from the worker, because the worker is going to be the one who's going to tell you what's wrong with the business owner, because from their point of view, the business owner is going to tell you what I had to do to get here instead of being that person complaining. So that was a good point where you're talking about when you got into that new atmosphere around those people with the bikes and everything, and your eyes were open up to a lot of positive people. So yeah, man, finish talking about that, because you know what I'm saying, because that's a good thing to talk about. How surrounding yourself around with new people who are doing positive things, man.
Yeah, man, it was very, very important. And I just didn't realize it. But like I said, I was determined for change. I was determined to move in a different way and just make myself better. And enemy is necessary. And then, like more Malcolm X say, we're gonna do everything we do by any means necessary. That's what we got to. We got to be determined for change for ourselves. Any means necessary. Um, and by me getting around, being around that, just looking at and talking to brothers, and just the energy, and the love, the support that I got from the club I was with, other motorcycle clubs. It was like I can be broke down in the middle of nowhere on the other side of the United States, but if I got that vest on, and another brother see me with that vest on, as a black brother, it's a lot of love because it's racism in motorcycle clubs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got a lot of big white MC clubs that's 1%ers that only allow black people in their clubs, and you got a lot of big black clubs that embrace it and they know what's going on because this old saying goes. I forget how it goes. I'm paraphrasing it, but they want to keep black folks off holidays. They want us to keep us on sport bikes. I forget how the saying goes, but it's kind of some similar. So with that alone, it just starts to tend to the love, you know what I mean, the brother love, it was like none other. I mean, we was traveling all around the world, and I was meeting strangers, and feel like if you would kind of walk to us and see us talking, you feel like we knew each other for years. That was powerful for me. Um, and it brought more of the leader out of me. And for my particular club, I had a leadership. I was an officer. My position was a road captain, the lead road captain. And with my position, I was teaching brothers the importance of safety. And I took on that from my job at Benny Keith. We had a system called the Smith system. And whenever we got in an accident, we had to take the Smith system and we had to do a driving test. But within that, it was so powerful because the same rules it was kind of similar. The same rules that apply to big trucks can be applied to motorcycles because it's a split moment you can lose your life, or a split moment in a big truck where you can take somebody's life. So I used to teach that within the club, and that helped me to bring out the leadership within me as well. It helped me to be, you know what I mean, the change that I seek because I was teaching it, and it was more of a teaching. I had a love, I had a passion, for it because, and as you know, on motorcycles, people die on motorcycles every day. And within the motorcycle world, it was always every week, every other day, somebody dying. We getting a text, somebody dying, something happened, and that right there, it brought out something more in me, and I started traveling. I remember we had another event out of town, and I was doing those right there and meeting brothers, and it was just powerful. So yeah, man, I would definitely say that being around brothers and that support system, and just think back of then and to now, how I desired that, and how I just the universe has been yielding to me because I've been looking for that support system. I ain't been waiting around for it to come. I'm searching for it, and I searched for it, and it just came to me.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just what you mean a business owner, like not just a black business owner, small business owner, and also what also being a convicted felon. What are some of the things for the gentlemen and women who are in our program who are starting their business and with these things against them? Because see, like, even though our program, like when our program was really attracted to more of the people in the urban lifestyle. And for us, if you say urban, it means black. That's the new code word. But see, what we look at it bigger than that. Because a lot of, what I'm saying, because a lot of the people that I've been interviewing are also white urban people who come from, what I'm saying, from the same kind of lifestyles that we've come from, and everything. So, and they deal with a lot of the same issues that we have, as far other than the racism. You know what I'm saying? But which is a big factor. That we can't just sweep like it ain't doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? But like they deal with the same economic, injustices and stuff like that, and all of that. And one of the things that that I help them work on is looking at their mindset about the self-defeating, things we tell them. So, what were some of the, as you being a business owner and doing that, and still going out here daily, how were some of the ways that you really had to overcome that nonsense that you tell yourself that that I can't do this, I mean, what were some of the even what do you use today? Not what happened in because this I know there's still sometimes you might think about giving up and everything, and and I push for the people that we're working with to keep the hope. You know, they need to hear from other people who are doing it and let them know that sometimes we think about giving up. So, what are some of the things that the positive things that you need to do to keep you on focus and push through those negative thoughts?
Man, main thing, as you was talking, I don't have room for failure. There's no room for failure. There's no room for thinking that it's not going to work. There's no room. I try to allow it, even though at times it get hard, and it's hard work. Because as being the business I am, my wife, she helped me out when she can, but she has a full-time job. She work overtime. She's taking care of the kids, the household, doing things she can. I'm, constantly, I feel like I'm overwhelmed because I'm doing so much at times. Then when I come home, I'm taking care of everybody at the house, my family, that support system, and my wife, I can't speak about her enough. Anytime I get a little doubtful, anytime I say something, she'll flip it on me real quick. Like, I ain't trying to hear that. Get it together real quick because, that negative energy and the doubts you go through.
You don't want to piss the queen off because, hey, what they say, a happy wife, happy life. You know what I'm saying? Happy
Right.
spouse, happy
And
house.
yeah, definitely, and we both push each other too as well, and we both can have the same energy because sometimes I'm not good in that, you know, and still some people don't really care, but the house be a little off balance, but ain't no like that woman off balance, man. But she keep me sharp as well. My wife, I'm just so thankful because every time I look at her, it will remind me of my journey of how I was determined, to be the man I am right now. Because if I would have met my wife, we're going on 6 years in April. If I would have met my wife 10 years ago, she wouldn't have gave me a time of the day and my mindset 10 years ago. And that journey of me trying to get where I'm at now. So that back to that, like that going back to like being determined to be a better man, being determined for like everything I went through, every brother, every sister, every relationship, every person I dated, when they told me something, either if I didn't want to hear it, if it was truth about myself, learning like everything I went through and the storms taught me who I am today. When a person told me some stuff I wasn't really trying to hear at the time, what I needed to hear, that's the things I always go back to and say, okay, this is what happened in this situation with this type of person. This is how I need to be better. This is why I need to search for how to be better and how I need to continue to push myself on this, continuing to be better. So I'm always doing research. I'm always looking at, I mean, looking at the culture. I'm always learning about information on how can I apply it to my life, my everyday life, to my family life, to my business, to my everyday journey. How does it make sense to now? I'm always looking at something that's now. It's not like stuff that's going to happen in the future. I mean, I look at other stuff that's information that's going to help me in the future, and then it brought back to the past of our ancestors. But I'm always searching for information for now and appreciating now, loving now, and it always goes back to me, self-love as well, and determination on how, what I mean, I'm going to be a better man for my wife, how I'll be a better man for my son, how I'll be a better man for my household, how I'll be a better man for my community, how I'll be a better man for myself. So out of that, it sharpened me up. It sharpened me up and being around brothers, you know what I mean? You got Sensei, you got Cedric, I got many of my other brothers. I can say so many different names and looking at other mentors. Philippe Matthews, man, whew, I mean, his show, man, and he had a lot of people on his show, man, that definitely, changed my mindset, as well. So, Brother Kaba, looking at the story of Marcus Garvey, looking at the story of Tulsa, Oklahoma, look at the story, of Rosewood, looking at the story of St. Louis riot, looking at the story, what I mean, of Detroit, and so on and so on, and just everything just keep giving me fire
Right.
to keep going
And
for the culture, for the community.
and that's important that we what you said, that word, having that fire, you know what I'm saying, I call it drive, whatever, that you're going to need, that's that whatever you're going to need to keep you going, you know. A lot of times, you know, like I said, prior to you talking about that, there's some days that I feel like giving up and everything, and like you said, I have to tap into something positive to keep me going. And like one of the things that I found that was important, because I appreciate how you talk so much, you know, the positive about, you know, the family life, your wife, and then the kids being your motivation and everything. Because you know, a lot of times we need to hear that, especially from black men in the community. Let them know that, you know, there is, you know, that we do have stable homes and stuff like that. People want to, you know, paint the portrait that we don't have stable homes, that, you know, we're not doing the things we do and everything like that. But other than your wife and your family, you know, who were some of the important people in your life that helped change, you know, that helped you turn your life around? And at those times when, you know, you were at that fork in the road we all come through. I can't keep on doing this, but I don't know what nothing else how, you know, to do. But how do I know where I would like to be, but I don't know how to get there. And I, you know, I know there was a couple of people like, I don't know if you ever heard my story, like one pieces of my story when I talk on these interviews. I had my mentor on here a few weeks ago, when I was in the penitentiary. Um, he ended up, you know, he you know, he gave me the determined, because like everybody that I met early in recovery and everything, first thing we all want to do is become drug counselors. And at that time when I was in the penitentiary, you know, I'd already had my trade for a while, and he gave me some things to think about. He said, "Are you sure you want to do that? Because it's going to take you years to make the type of money that that you're making now doing this stuff." And you know, and with those words, I decided to stay in my field of doing what I was doing, because he told me I could still help people by just not using no more, and, you know, helping them. And watching him go from somebody who was wearing prison blues to running the recovery, you know, running the recovery services department where I was at. Now he's a regional director in the state of Ohio of recovery services for the Ohio State Penitentiary. You know, so these are, you know, I had people like that in my life. I had other people, you know, in my life that, you know, showed me that, you know, and I use as mentors and springboards as positive people to, you know, model my life. So other than your wife and your family, who were some of those people in your life that, you know, you gravitated towards, that, you know what I'm saying, you know, you put in your life to, you know, help mentor you out of the streets into to the lifestyle that you have now?
Man, it's hard for me to say, brother, because I didn't really have a whole lot of close mentors that has guided me through that. I just didn't want to go back and just put the pain on my mom, and just think about when you were saying classes and going through, the rehab. One thing I did take those classes as well. Because when I first got on probation, my first UA was dirty. And they put me in the class because I was so addicted just weed. Really, I wanted to
Yeah,
get back to smoking weed that
yeah,
I was like, man, I could spend another year in jail. I could spend a year, year and a half in jail just to get back to my habit. And that went through my mind so many times. But when I was in those classes, and going to those AA meetings, it was a couple of things that that stuck with me. Just the education alone is one thing of learning about how the power of these drugs and what it does to your mind, to your mental, and takes you to a different place. And certain drugs and how it affect you or whatnot, or another. And when I was going to AA classes, I guess the biggest thing that kind of stood out for me, the most of people who really, were determined to change their life around is the people who hit rock bottom. And to hear those stories countless of times of from so many brothers, so many sisters, white, black, it was just, steps they had to go through, and just hitting that rock bottom, just like Ray lost their family, people have died, they've killed people, and all kind of stories. It was something, man. And I didn't want to be that. I know I didn't want to be, even though my problem was, probably would see like it was very minor. Um, by me being the only child and my mother, I didn't want her to go through that pain, that heartache when she went through when I first caught my felony, and then secondly when my stepfather passed. And it was so much. Best person I can say is spirit, man. It was the essence of some type of spirit around me that was just constantly guiding me. I can't even say it was an individual. Um, but as I look at my genealogy a few years back, um, I think it was my ancestors that was there with me. My great grandfathers, my great uncles, my grandmother, my grandfather. I'm like third generational truck driver.
Mm.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even, nobody never told me. I went to, before I started my business, right in between, is the reason I named my company Spiritual Trucking.
I was going to ask.
Because
Yeah.
um, I know he says one of the questions you about to ask.
Yeah, go ahead. You can segue right into it. Well, because that's a good segue. What you're talking about into how did you come up with the name for your business? Because see, that's an important thing that I talk to people all the time about naming your company. You know, it needs to be something that other people can catch on and hear it, but also needs to have something that means something to you, like with felons with a future. That's something that for the people that we're trying to attract. They're like, oh, I am a felon, I can have a future, and also means something to me. With me being a person who's a restored citizen, and my future it hinges on me help how much I help other people. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's a good segue. And how did you come about the name for your company, and also, how people can get in touch with you, and get in touch, if they would like to, find out more about your company and how they could get in touch with you. So
Oh, yes, sir. So if you want to get a hold of me, you can always email me at spiritualtrucking@gmail.com. And it's spelled spiritual, SPIRITUAL, trucking, TRUCKING. You can always email me. I check my emails consistently, and I reply to them uh, on an hourly basis. Spirit, has been with me for a long time. Something I didn't put in my bio is I went through some adversities at a young age when it comes to spirit, and it got to a point where it's a certain entity in the spirit. And I kind of briefly talked about it on the Philip Matthews show. Um, Something came over me back in '99. I don't know how, when, what. I just say it was just divine time to where it hit me so hard to where I was never the same. It got so bad to where I was like, I was looking at my stepfather as almost like the devil. I ain't gonna even lie to you. And my mom put me in an immense institute but they're going to keep me for a week because they couldn't find anything wrong with me. But it was a spirit on me that just moved me in a way that is unexplainable. And at that moment, my life changed. First of all, I'll go back to that. But fast forward to before I started my company, I kind of got on these points where I was doing lives talking about, and then spirit just guided me to talk. Spirit just guided me to help and just express what spirit wanted me to say. And it was many times I was driving on the road when I was an independent truck driver, driving somebody else, driving for somebody else. I just started doing lives. And according to the research, according to where I was at spiritually, I just started to just speak. And it was just something about spirit. This is getting to me at that time. Um, Within that, I started doing right before I started my company. Actually, I named my company Spiritual Trucking, but in between that, somewhere around that time, I started doing genealogy. It's not a coincidence. My mom, she's in a nursing home right now, unfortunately, but I have all her stuff. But one thing that I have that she had was a Bible, which is my grandmother's Bible. And within that Bible is one of the old big Bibles. And it had, my mother's mother, my mother's dad, my granddad, my grandma, on both sides, and it went back to so many names. So I went to the library, and to one and come to find out, Spirit just told me I need to do some research. I need to find out because I never knew these people. Let me find out. So I started going to the library, doing my research, and I met a brother who, older brother who was like 75 years old, walking around like he's like 50, and he was helping me with the genealogy and finding and tracing back my lineage, my blood lineage. And this brother, he was saying he got into this field when he met the brother who did Roots, Alex Haley.
I would say,
And back then, some Roots came out when everybody was doing that background. And at the time, before that, he was doing I think the biography of Malcolm X, I believe. And it wasn't a coincidence because, and how this kind of pieces in, what I'm saying is, he met him and it will inspire him to do genealogy. Alex Haley. I got my name, Lavar, from LeVar Burton from Roots,
some roots.
you know. And when it comes to LeVar Burton and Roots, of course, who he was and his role, and then I meet this brother, you know what I mean, who met the guy who came out with the movie. So experience ain't something on that. And then once I started doing the research and the paperwork saying, I had a great uncle who was a truck driver. He had died early. I think that was back in like 1930s. You know, and then I had another relative that was a truck driver. I have my uncle that's a truck driver. I got my other cousin's a truck driver. Um, and it's not a coincidence. It's like I'm almost like the third generation of truck driver. So something about spirit, brother, that it led me to that name.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of people telling me, man, you probably should make it that name. And what other people will think. I said, I mean, it ain't about really the name. It's about, because I knew at the time it's about what you do in the business, not necessarily the name. Um, but I was determined to just make that name. But within that name, it has got a lot of things done. Within that name, it has kept that fire going and that energy going. And for me to chase, the money, I guess you would say, again, the business. Because within this, I have to do my own book. I have to find my own loads. I have to deal with certain brokers. I have to continue to move. And a lot of times, I'm finding these works and I'm doing work going down the road. Look at my phone, going down the road. Look at my phone. And a lot of times I just be my wife, like, I can't find work. I don't know what's going on. And right when I say that, spirits looks out for
Yeah.
it.
I, I,
you
I, don't want
know,
you, I don't want you getting in no trouble talking about you be on the phone while you driving, man. So, yeah. So yeah. But listen, man, check this out. Because we got a few minutes left. I know some of the things that me and you've talked about. Your you shifted into trying to help your community, and I already told you, man, my resources are your resources, and the same way that I help, the same way that I was able to develop and do the paperwork for my 501c3. I already offer my services to you to do that. You know what I'm saying? Just because that's what we do. But there's something that you do every Wednesday night with a couple other brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? Touch on that for a minute. So because see, like one of the things that I believe in that helps us when we are starting our own business and also changing our lives, going from that person that was, being in the streets and everything and taking from the community is giving back to the community. So touch a little bit on what happens. What do you do on your Wednesday evenings?
my Wendy's is dedicated to the brothers. Uh, and, it's girl to black brothers, but it's girl for any brother, any man, because one thing about it, many of our men, cry in silence. Many of our men feel like they're alone. Many of our men, really don't know how to navigate and deal with their traumas. Many of our men don't know how to deal with their pain. Many of our men don't know how to express it. So far too many times you see households getting broke up because men not really understanding self, men not really dealing with self, men not having that support system, men not really just just trying to be the change and get into that position of being the leaders that we are. But how can we be the leader that we are naturally are if we're just not really, harnessing that and just moving in that direction to shed, all of that pain, all that trauma, and having that support system so we can be the change that we're seeking within our communities. So this is something that I was dealing with, something that I needed. I needed all of that. I needed that support. I needed that love. I needed, other brothers, to help build with, you know, within the community. Um, so I decided, because spirit, as I say, told me I come from, looking at the genealogy. My grandfather dealt with a lot of self-esteem issues. My great grandfathers, didn't really make a whole lot of money. Looking at the records, looking at the paper trail, looking at what the genealogy told me, on the income, what they had, the assets, and what they didn't have. Looking at my grandfather, he was a drinker. He drank a lot. And I'm pretty sure he did drugs. I'm pretty, he did all smoking. Uh, it was a lot of ancestors. They cried out. They said, man, they're tired of our men dying early. They tired, you know what I mean? Our houses getting broken up because our men are dying early. We're tired of our men beating up on our women. We're tired, of men, abusing drugs. We're tired of men stressing out so much, you know what I mean, to where, it's like a ticking time bomb, you know. So Spirit told me I need to do something about it. I need to start speaking up about it. Not only speaking up about it, I need to organize. So that's one of my motivations. Because the things I struggle with, and I need that support system as well. And I knew if I needed it, it must be some other brothers out there needed it as well. So I just put it out there, and just 6 months from now, that's where we're at now. Every week we have up to 15 brothers on here, and we have two of my brothers, Sensei and Cedric. They are dedicated. They just came on board to be dedicated about a month ago, a little over a month ago. Sensei was like, "Man, I see what you're doing, brother, and I want to be down with you, but I think we need to do it, consistently, because I was doing it every other week. Sometimes I was doing it, every third week, because I was only doing it, whenever I had time, because I was constantly trying to run my business. I was constantly trying to take care of my household, and a lot of times I didn't have a whole lot of freedom. So when they said they'll help me out, that gave me the push to keep doing it. And like I said, Cedric, he helped out on the technical side, and Sensei, he helped, with the words and the wisdom that he's doing every single day. And that's another brother that I say, man, he just helped me out within the last few years tremendously. He's been a great mentor for me as well. When it comes to myself, my marriage, my household, and my community as well. Because this brother, man, he's dedicated. I see the progress, and when I saw him start, really moving in that direction, so he started moving in the direction he's at. I said, brother, I'm there for you. I'm supporting you. And when it comes to finances or whatever, I'm there for you. And me and Cedric, we've been there for him. And he went down and he got some powerful stories. And he shared everything. And he went through some things, but he helped me along the way. And I'm thankful for the brother.
So if some of the viewers, some of the men or women wanted to check out your the little show that y'all do every Wednesday, because I know you stream it Facebook on Facebook Live every Wednesday at what is it, at 7 o'clock Central Time?
Yeah, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Yes,
Where
sir.
would they be able to find you at on Facebook Live when you're doing that?
You can find me on my Facebook. It's Lavar Abatala Watson, and Abatala is a guide, for the Yoruba tribe, and it's a lot that comes to that as well. And you can contact me through my cell phone. You can text me as well. My number is 469-951-2573. And within this platform, and it's pretty much a community I'm building up, because didn't know it. My wife was like, okay, this is kind of a similar of helping my little brother, because that's another mentoring a nonprofit that I actually started up 3 years ago. I just never got it off the ground at this moment, and that is geared for young Black males, from ages 7 to 15. And I sent you some of that, but I think that right there was my story of like how I needed that guidance, how I needed that mentorship, how I needed those steps, to help me to be the man that I have developed too. And a lot of our brothers, young brothers, young men are struggling with, because we got a lot of single mothers out there that are struggling trying to raise this man. And that's definitely a journey I'm trying to get on. But if I can build these men and where I'm at now, these can be the brothers that can help me to go back to help my little brothers as well.
And I'm looking forward to helping you build that dream. Helping you launch that nonprofit further than because I understand from me going from the stages of having a vision to getting to where we are now. It took some determination, and like I say, it was a lot of pitfalls. That's why I do what we do, and I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate what you taking your time out, because I know you're busy. That's why I say, man, I don't take it lightly. I'm going to try. My resources are yours, and I'm looking forward to helping you get that nonprofit, to the next phase, because it is important. It's important that we do get more grassroots, efforts out here to help the community, especially the younger generation. That way, if we can help them before they get caught up in the system, we won't be having to help them on this end coming out of the system and teaching them, how to become business owners and stuff like that, or teaching them how to change their thinking. We can nip that in the bud early on. And like I said, man, I really appreciate you coming on, Lavar, man. This has been a real good interview. I'm going to put everything in the description so that people will be able to get your email, your phone number, and also more information about that show every Wednesday night. So if they want to, jump in, chime in. I thank you for allowing me to be a part of that. Even though a lot of times I just come on and listen. You know what I mean? You're doing a lot of good things. I'm enjoying watching you grow. I'm enjoying you allowing me to help me grow by our conversations and getting to know you a lot better. In closing, is there anything you like to tell the community before we get out of here?
Um, I just one thing I want to say, is everything reflects back to self. Um, got to believe in yourself. Got to love yourself. You got to learn to trust yourself. Learn to encourage yourself. And all of these steps and all of these things that you want out of other people, first you got to do it within self. First, and once you do it in self, it will be so much easier for that energy to come back to you as well through other people by certain things we do, but then that we open up, and then certain things we have to do to protect ourselves. So I'll just leave with that as well, and that spirit be with you. I appreciate you, brother, as well, for allowing me to come on here, and I've learned a lot from you as well. And we're going to definitely be building in the future. Great things, brother.
Appreciate it. And again, to the community out there, I thank you guys for the ones who are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Please hit the like button, share these interviews with people, because you never know whose life they might impact. We're trying to build our subscribers up so that we can help as many people. Because one thing I believe is that this program, Felons for a Future, is needed, and not just in Dayton area, but in most communities. Because if we teach people how to become business owners and everything, that's going to help our economy grow, and it's also going to help the self-esteem of the people who will return to society, and it affects their whole family. It can do something that we need to keep working on, is breaking the generational curses and showing people how to build generational wealth. You can always find us at felonswithafuture.org. That's our website. You can get in touch with me at felonswithafuture@gmail.com. That's the email address. It costs you money to run these things, but we're not really worried about that, because we know what's going to come. But if you would like to make a donation, you can at our web page. But one thing that we're looking for is people with stories like Lavar's, like mine, who have come home. So you have anybody that you think would be a good person for us to interview on this network or on this platform, please get in touch with us at Felons with a Future at gmail.com, because it was all about inspiring other restored citizens, other people who have come from impoverished or even backgrounds that seemed like there was no way out, and now they are making it. It's about giving hope to people like that. So with that, again, you can reach Lavar at at spirit and spiritual trucking at gmail.com, and that will be in the description. And I appreciate you again for coming out, my brother. And I hope you have a good evening and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, sir. You as well, brother.
All right, my man.